Have you ever given someone your absolute all, only to get nothing but cold indifference in return? Are you that person who just can't say no, even when your body is literally breaking down from exhaustion, yet you're still running around trying to fix everyone else's problems? Maybe you think you're being a hero, but here's a bitter truth that might shock you. Your kindness isn't always your shield. Sometimes it's the very thing destroying you from the inside out, piece by piece. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of someone who almost lost everything just by trying to be the nice guy. After you hear this story, you'll realize why being too generous can actually be the biggest mistake of your life, and why you're paying such a high price for it every single day. I promise, the next few minutes will completely change the way you look at your relationships. Let's talk about Ethan. Ethan was the kind of guy everyone knew as the yes man. From his coworkers to his neighbors, Ethan was the first person people called when they were in a jam. He would literally borrow money just to lend it to someone else. He'd ignore a 102-degree fever just to finish a report for a colleague. Ethan truly believed that if he kept pouring into others, they'd eventually pour back into him. He believed that kindness always comes back around. His wife, Maya, used to warn him all the time. She'd say, "Ethan, these people you're losing sleep for, the people you're draining yourself for, they won't be there when you're the one who needs help. They only know you when they need something." Ethan would just brush it off with a smile. "People need people, Maya," he'd say. "If I'm there for them now, they'll be there for me later." Then there was Ryan, Ethan's best friend. Every time Ryan was short on rent or had some drama in his life, he called Ethan. Ethan would dip into his own savings, skip buying things he actually needed just to make sure Ryan was okay. Ryan would always say, "Man, I don't know what I'd do without you, Ethan. You're a real one." Ethan felt good. He felt like he was living a meaningful life. But life was about to give him a brutal reality check. It was a Friday night, and Ethan was hit with a massive flu. He was shivering, his head was pounding, and he could barely stand. Right then, his phone buzzed. It was Ryan. Ryan sounded like he was panicking. His relative was sick, needed a ride to the ER, and Ryan's car wouldn't start. Ryan literally cried on the phone saying, "Ethan, I have nobody else, man. If you don't show up, I'm finished." Maya begged him not to go, but Ethan couldn't say no. He got on his bike in the freezing rain, shivering the whole way. He spent the entire night at the hospital, running back and forth, even paying for the medications. When the sun finally came up, Ethan collapsed on a hospital bench from sheer exhaustion. When he woke up, he was in a hospital bed himself. The only person sitting next to him was Maya. Ryan, the best friend he spent the whole night helping, was nowhere to be seen. No text, no call, nothing. A few days later, Ethan went home to recover, but the hits kept coming. His job, the one where he did everyone else's work for years, the one where he gave up his weekends to make the boss look good, called him. They told him they were letting him go because his performance had slipped. The reality, he had missed 3 days because he was hospitalized. Ethan was devastated. He called the coworkers he had helped so many times. He thought they'd stand up for him, maybe talk to management. But one by one, the excuses started rolling in. One said, "Sorry, man, I'm just trying to keep my own head above water." Another said, "It's a corporate decision, Ethan. Nothing we can do." It felt like the ground was disappearing from under his feet. He sat on the curb in the rain that evening, wondering, who did I do all this for? The people he thought were his inner circle wouldn't even give him a drop of sympathy when he was down. The final blow came that evening. Ethan was struggling. He needed money for his medical bills and rent. He called Ryan. He said, "Hey man, I'm in a really tight spot. Is there any way you could pay back some of what I lent you?" Ryan's tone turned cold and aggressive. "Look, Ethan, I'm struggling too, and honestly, I gave you that money because you wanted to. I didn't force you. Why are you trying to guilt trip me now?" Ethan just sat there in silence as the line went dead. That was the moment it clicked. He realized that what he called generosity was actually him giving people permission to walk all over him. They didn't see him as a friend. They saw him as a utility, like a tool you use until it breaks, and then you just throw it in the trash. The next few months were a living hell for Ethan, but that dark time taught him the most important lesson of his life. He realized that if you don't respect yourself, the world will never respect you. If you don't learn to love yourself enough to say no, you're just setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Ethan started changing. He found a new job. This time, he did his work well, but he didn't take on anyone else's burden. He learned the power of a polite no. The hours he used to spend chasing after ungrateful people, he started spending on Maya and on his own mental health. The weirdest thing happened. The people who used to call him every day suddenly stopped. The people who used him started calling him selfish or saying he changed. But Ethan didn't care. He finally understood that if someone gets mad at you for setting a boundary, they are exactly the person you needed that boundary for. Ethan has peace now. He has his self-respect back. His circle is small, but it's real. He finally learned that being too nice isn't a virtue, it's a weakness if you don't know where you end and other people begin. The story could end here, but the lesson for you is just beginning. Look, are you like Ethan? Are you pouring yourself out for people who wouldn't even throw you a life jacket if you were drowning? Remember, a candle burns itself out to provide light, but once it's dark, people just light another one. They don't care about the melted wax on the floor. Be kind, but don't be a doormat. Help people, but never at the expense of your own self-respect. Learn to say no, because your time, your energy, and your peace are the most valuable things you own. If this story hit home for you today, it's because you're probably ready to stop being the yes man and start living for yourself. If you think someone else needs to hear this wake-up call, share it with them. And you know what's interesting? People who truly value growth and self-respect are usually the ones who hit the like button and join this community. Subscribing might just be a click to you, but for us, it's a sign that we've actually made a difference in your day. Are you ready to be part of that change? The choice is yours. Take care of yourself, and remember, you can't pour from an empty cup.